So today I have another incredibly handsome Seiko to show you guys. This one is an SLA diver. That SLA lets you know this is somewhat of a higher end Seiko. It is powered by an 8L movement and it gets inspiration from cave diving. Now, I've never met a cave diver. I have no idea what it looks like inside of a cave when you're diving. However, this dial is beautiful and it's one of the strong points from Seiko. They always make some really interesting dials and this one is definitely one of them. It's based on Seiko's first diver from 1968. So that means you're getting a Marine Master style case. So let's flip the camera and take a look at what I think is a very good looking blue dial that's very interesting from Seiko, the SLA073. So if you're a cave diver, you are in luck. I have the exact watch that you need in my hands today. This is a Seiko, it's the SLA073. It has a beautiful dial inspired by cave diving. Now, I've never met a cave diver. However, I am sure that they do exist. I just have never met one. So this is inspired by cave diving. And I guess it's basically what you would see if you were diving underwater in a cave. So there's a gradient to this dial. It sort of starts out blue at the top and then it ends up blue at the bottom again. However, in the center area, it's sort of a light blue, silver blue color. Really very nice. This watch was lent into the channel by ExquisiteTimepieces.com down in Naples, Florida. I will put a link to their website down in the description below. If you're interested in this watch or any watch, definitely check out their website. They're an authorized dealer for many brands, including Seiko and Grand Seiko. If you stop by, tell them Watch Chris sent you. This is a cave diving inspired watch. However, it's also a somewhat higher end watch from Seiko. It gets an 8L movement. This gets the 8L35, which is essentially a Grand Seiko movement, the 9S55 that is just pared down. So it's slightly less accurate. And of course, it doesn't have the finishing of that Grand Seiko movement. This is the highest end movement that Seiko currently offer, or one of the higher end movements that Seiko currently offer in their lineup. So it's essentially a Grand Seiko movement that you're getting in here. It's a 200-meter dive watch. It is inspired by the 1968 diver, their first diver, so Seiko's first diver. So you have a sort of a Marine Master case on this watch, but it is smaller. So this is around a 42.5 millimeter watch. If you measure it at the case, if you measure it at the bezel, it's around 41.5 millimeters, and then the lug to lug is around 49.6. Thickness on this is around 13 millimeters thick. So this does wear like a 41 millimeter watch. The Marine Master case in general wears smaller than its said dimensions. So does this watch. So when you turn it on its side, you can see that the sides are sort of flanked. That's what they do, and they actually make these fit on your wrist smaller than they normally would, which is awesome. You also have the crown at the 4 o'clock position. It's actually just above the 4 o'clock position. This is not in ever brilliant steel. So usually these watches that feature the 8L movement have, of course, ever brilliant steel, which is Seiko's upgraded stainless steel. This is 316L stainless steel, so that's actually good for the price. If you don't care about the extra special steel that they offer, it's a little bit more corrosion resistant and some other properties, but other than that, there's no visual difference. I've actually had two watches, one in stainless steel and one in ever brilliant steel. You really can't visually tell the difference. This also gets a ceramic bezel. You also get Lumibrite, and you have that textured dial, and I'll do plenty of close-ups so you can see what I'm talking about. You have applied indices, and those are very liberally applied with lume. The bezel is not lumed, it's made out of ceramic, and you do get a pip right there that is lumed. You have a very typical Seiko bracelet on here, although very, very nice, very solid bracelet on here. You do have those center links that are polished. Very popular with Seiko. They love to do this throughout Grand Seiko and Seiko. So this is a 5-link bracelet. It's very, very solid. As I mentioned, you do have solid end links. You do get drilled lugs on here. And then you have a Seiko buckle. This is sort of a standard Seiko buckle right now with that larger fold over portion that's signed Seiko. It is partially pressed, but mostly milled. It is a nice bracelet. It's a nice buckle. Very, very functional. And then you have, of course, their horrid diver's extension, which I don't like. It's very fiddly. But other than that, I mean, if you're going to be actually using that, it does work. And of course, if you are a diver, you need an extension, so that does work. Let's listen to the bezel action really quickly. Bezel action on these slightly higher end Seikos, or higher end Seikos I should say, are always really, really good. This one lines up perfectly. The index at the 12 o'clock position, the chapter ring, which by the way is black on this watch, and then of course that triangle at the 12 o'clock position on the bezel, everything lines up, which is very good because sometimes Seiko do have problems with that. The lume on here is very good. We will do a lume shot in just a second. Let me show you what I have on my wrist. We'll talk about the price. If I haven't mentioned that already, it's $2,900. So $2,900 on this watch is actually pretty good. Recently, I featured their GMT, one of their newest GMTs, not in the SLA line. So that SLA lets you know that this is sort of a higher end version of a Seiko. That means it gets the 8L movement. It does get slightly nicer finishing on the case and on the bracelet, so it is a little bit nicer than what you normally get from Seiko. And recently I did feature on my channel a 42mm version of their diving GMT, which essentially has the exact same case. That comes in around $1,600 is what I want to say. This is $2,900. So you are getting that upgraded movement, you're getting slightly better finishing, and then of course you're getting that textured dial that is somewhat very special. I don't know if this is a limited edition, and if it is, I will put that down in the description. I don't believe it is, but it might be. Usually these special cave diving and ice diving versions are usually limited editions. Today on my wrist, something that hasn't left my wrist since I purchased this. This is the Blancpain Swatch collaboration. I have this and the white version, so the Antarctic version. I'm wearing the Atlantic version today. I'm not a huge fan of the strap, not because of the quality, just because of the look. I actually am not a fan of the look of this strap, but other than that, I do think these are pretty cool watches. Well, there it is on my 7.5 inch wrist. You can see it wears really well on my 7.5 inch wrist. I don't have this sized, but these usually wear very comfortably. Even the 44mm version, I had the Baby Marine Master for many years. That was amazing. It's a 200-meter dive watch. It's still 13mm thick, but it doesn't wear like a 42.5mm watch. It wears like a 41.5mm watch. It looks like a 41.5mm watch, and that's because you have that smaller bezel and then the larger case. It wears great, looks great. I really do love these watches. Well, there you go. LumiBrite never disappoints. This is very, very bright. The indices, the hands, very liberally applied with Lumi. You even have a little pip on the bezel for orientation in the dark. Never disappoints, lasts a very long time. LumiBrite is excellent. So if you like this watch, like I said, don't forget to check out exquisitetimepieces.com. They are located in Naples, Florida, and they also have a website. They sell tons of different watches. They're an authorized dealer for many different watches, many different brands, including Seiko and Grand Seiko. So check out their website if you're interested in this watch and really any watch. And if you end up buying a watch, do me a favor and tell them that Watch Chris sent you. Anyway, guys, thank you for logging on. I will catch you guys in the next video.